So welcome back guys, my name is Amlan and in today's Make Knowledge Free campaign, we go about looking at how we can force GPU rendering on Android. Basically whatever you see on the Android, whatever gets rendered or displayed on the Android can be either from the central processing unit or it can be from the graphical processing unit. Now I here have a Samsung M51 which is powered by the Snapdragon 730 as the main processor, and the GPU here is the Adreno 618. Both are amazingly effective. But I want the GPU to be used because I think like the GPU architecture is responsible for faster rendering, smoother animations, great processing, and anytime it's a graphic intensive application, well, I want my GPU to be utilized. Bye bye CPU, hi GPU. So how do we do that? So I scroll from the top, tap on settings, scroll down. The thing that I want to do here is activate my developer options, and that is by tapping on about phone, tapping on software information, tapping on build number several times, 7 times, and prompted for the screen pattern, and there you go, the developer mode has been enabled. Now when I scroll from the top, tap on the developer settings, tap on settings, scroll down, I see developer options. Now it is here that I can force GPU rendering. But before we even begin, what I want you to do is scroll down until you see networking, and under networking tap on tethering of hardware application. What this means is use hardware whenever it's possible. The CPU is requesting that, well, give me some breathing space, and anytime there is an application that can be managed with the internal hardware, go ahead and use that. So it's very important that you do this, because basically what we are now trying to do is use the GPU in graphic intensive applications so that the CPU gets breathing space. So this is right at the bottom. So here, like as I scroll up, you will see hardware accelerated rendering. So for rendering, what is the type of hardware acceleration that we want? So I can see here that there is one option which is called disabling of hardware overlays. You see, like what the CPU does for rendering is creates a video memory buffer. Whatever you see on the Android, like every app will get its dedicated RAM, and like it's in its own small memory buffer or the small RAM that's been allocated to it by the CPU. The app will render itself and like get displayed. So like that is how the CPU operates. It will create such kind of memory buffers, also referred to as hardware overlays. And if we talk of GPU rendering, well, it's totally brute force. It has no such dedicated video memory buffers. Well, so every app will be sharing the same, like the RAM, and so like it has to double check, keep on checking, so that it kind of doesn't collide with other app RAM. So that's always there. But what has happened is in modern world the GPUs have become very effective, and the GPUs like they process much faster than the traditional CPUs. So like it's 50 to 100 times more faster if you use a GPU. And the architecture of GPU is such, it's not like it does calculations like what a central processing unit does, but it can render images, graphics much more effectively. Overall, if it's a graphical experience that if you're looking into, then well, it's very important that you do like force the GPU rendering, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm saying I don't require those buffers. I don't require the CPU buffers. I require the direct GPU way of doing things. Now, when I do this, I also sometimes reduce clock time, because sometimes there are unnecessarily duplicate overlays which are being created by the CPU while rendering. But right now, when I do this, when I disable hardware overlays, well, bye bye CPU, hi GPU. Earlier, like what used to happen is under hardware accelerated rendering, there used to be a force GPU rendering here. But that option, like as you have now migrated to Android 10.11, now you simply have this option. Basically, whenever we are talking of avoiding overlays, we are saying that we are actually forcing the GPU, which you can see here, always use GPU for screen compositing. Now, this is a very battery intensive thing. So whenever the GPU used, you will understand like a lot of battery gets consumed. So turning it on for a heavy period of time may reduce your battery life by 10 to 15%. So we'll really not advise it in the longer run. But whenever you are playing games, well, this is something that you can think about, because you would like great graphics, and anytime it's a question of graphics, well, you need the guy that's meant for it, and that's the GPU. Well, this is how you would be forcing the GPU for rendering stuff on your Android. And I hope that this video helps. If it does, kindly consider subscribing and also turn on the bell icon for getting notifications. And please do share this with your friends and family. Thank you so much.